Shalom, shalom, Yasharallah. This is your brother Manatazak. I can't actually thought of a part Fear 2, another Bible bite. I think it's important to show these examples in the Bible because a lot of our people don't know these characters. They don't know their history and they don't know the things they've been through. But these brothers and sisters in the Bible are perfect examples on what to do in similar situations. We can learn a lot from these brothers and sisters. So I figured I'd come out with a part 2 after that other one for the 3 Hebrews. So we're going to use the book of Daniel, chapter 6. We're going to talk about Daniel in the lion's den. All praises and glory be to Yahweh in the name of Hamashiach Yahushai. So again, this is your brother Manatazak from Nation of Kings and Priests. So we're going to start with chapter 6 in Daniel. And we're going to go through the whole chapter. And we might stop at a few spots and bring in some other precepts. But Daniel is a perfect example of how to endure to the end. He's a perfect example on how not to fear your enemies and to continue to love the Most High and to prove it through your actions and not just your words. Chapter 6, verse 1 in Daniel. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. So we see that the king has appointed Daniel over all the other presidents and princes over the kingdom. So verse 3. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the president and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could not find none occasion nor fault. For as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. You see, Daniel isn't doing anything, and these people are trying to bring him down already. So let's go on to verse 5, because this is pretty important right here. Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Let me read that again. Then these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of this God, of his God. You see, these heathens, this has happened time and time again throughout all of our history. A lot of us just don't realize it, right? So, if we go to, let's go to the book of Psalms, right? And we go to, let me see, 83, right here. 83, we'll start at 2. It says, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Now, this is talking about how these are the enemies of the Most High, which means these are the enemies of Israel, which means that this is showing that these people have a pattern. Their pattern is always contemplating, always coming up with ways to trip us up, to bring us down. In this case, it's talking about us as a nation, but it doesn't only happen to us as a nation. It also happens to us individually, whether it be at a job, whether it be at another place in our life somewhere when we're dealing with these heathens or other people. So we have to always keep an eye and keep in mind that there are people behind the scenes that are scheming on us in this manner, right? So let's go on, because they were scheming against Daniel, and they were jealous of his position over them. Let's go on to verse 6. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whoever shall ask a petition of any god or of man for 30 days, save O thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. So you see, now we can't just skip over this. We have to go through this verse slower. People would read past this, go, oh, whatsoever he shall ask petition of any god or man. But what does this mean? Where it says petition. That's not just a request. I want to get this in, give me one moment. I want to get this in the I think it's the NLT. I'm going to get it real quick. One moment. Because it's gonna say it in a specific way so you understand what's really happening here. Hold on, my tablet's a little slow right now. Okay, Daniel 6, NLT, and this will be verse 7. Let's go to verse 7. Now I want you to hear this the way they word it in the NLT, right? So let me see this. 6. All right, so here it is. We're going to start at verse 6 in the NLT. It says, so the administrators and high officers went to the king and said, live long, King Darius. We are all in agreement. We administrators, officials, high officers, advisors, and governors, that the king should make a law that will be strictly enforced, give orders that for the next 30 days, any person who prays to anyone divine or human, except to you, your majesty, will be thrown into the den of lions. So we see these people are using trickery. Not only are they trying to get rid of Daniel, but they're going to trick the king into this, because once the king makes a law, you cannot change the law of the Mede and Persians. They can't just go back and go, you know what? I made a mistake. Let's not do that. But let's go on. We're going to go from verse 7. We're going to go to verse 8. It says, now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. Now verse 10. Now that's another thing. When they did this, Daniel was there because they were all in assembly. So he heard and saw what was happening. And even knowing that this just happened, and now it was the law, against the law for him to be praying to our Father Yahweh, right? He still went home and did it anyway. Watch this, verse 10. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. You see that? Daniel was faithful. He was loyal to the Most High. Because, these people are trying to make a law where Daniel cannot pray to the Most High and that he prays to the king. That's idolatry. The Most High is not going to accept that, and Daniel knows that. And Daniel is faithful, and Daniel follows his laws. So we're going to go to, the reality is Daniel prayed 3 times a day. And he did this because he loved the Most High. So we're going to first we're going to go to Matthew 10. hold on a second. Matthew 10, verse 37. No, my fault. Matthew 22, verse 37. All right, let me see here. There it goes. It says, Yahushua said unto him, this is red letter, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. And this is the first and great commandment. Daniel knows this. So Daniel is following accord with this. Let's see where Yahushua got this from in this Matthew, the New Testament. But let's see where this came from originally, right? So we're going to go to Deuteronomy. And let me make sure I'm in the right spot. Deuteronomy 11. Right? And this is verse 1. It says, and this is a law. So Daniel is obeying the law. It says, therefore, thou shalt love the Lord thy God, and keep his charge, and his statutes, and his judgments, and his commandments always. Right? So watch this. I want to get this in the NLT. Give me one moment, because the wording is different, but I think it's a little more powerful. So give me one moment. All right, here it is. Deuteronomy 11, verse 1 in the NLT. And it says, you must love the Lord your God and always obey his requirements, decrees, regulations, and commands. This is what Daniel is doing. So what is this command that Daniel is following? Right? So we're going to go to... All right. So let's go to Exodus chapter 20 and let's see the law on this. Right? Exodus chapter 20. And let me see. We're going to start at verse 3. It says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. You see that? That's verse 3. Right off the top. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Daniel can't pray to Darius. That would be like his God. That would be idolatry. The Most High is not going to accept that. Let's go to verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images, or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. You see that? The Most High is not going to deal with that. And Daniel knows this. So Daniel is not going to bow down to this man either. Right? So in reality, what we're looking at is that Daniel is being very courageous. He's being very brave. And he has faith in the Most High that he's going to take care of him. Now also, in verse 10, I'm going to reread verse 10 of Daniel. Now when Daniel knew the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open, his chamber toward Jerusalem. He kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed, and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. Notice what Daniel is doing. He is getting on his knees, and he is praying towards his land, towards Jerusalem, towards the temple. Now, if we go to 1 Kings, and I think it's chapter 8, and verse 29, this is like the dedication of the temple. King Solomon was speaking here, right? And he mentioned something. He mentioned that the Most High would bless or listen to the prayers of anyone facing his land or that temple or that place, and the Most High would respond. So let's go to that. That's chapter 8, and let me see here. Yeah, verse 29. It says, that thy eyes may be open toward this house night and day. It's talking about the temple. Even toward the place of which thou hast said, my name shall be there, that thou mayest hearken unto the prayer which thy servant shall make toward this place. So we see that King Solomon is mentioning that anyone praying of the Hebrew Israelites, praying towards that direction of the land, praying towards the temple, that the Most High will hear those prayers, and that his eyes were upon the house night and day to receive those prayers. Daniel knows this. So Daniel apparently is customarily praying every day, 3 times a day, towards his land, towards his temple. So he had no fear of what these heathens can do or can't do, because he knows what the power of the Most High is, and he has faith in that. So we're going to see what else Daniel, right? So, in fact, I want to do one more scripture for this verse 10. We're going to go to, because, Daniel's doing this, and this is exercising a lot of faith. People talk about faith, their beliefs, but without works, your faith is nothing. So let's go to James chapter 2. Let me see here. Let's go to verse 18, and we'll jump around a little bit. It says, yea, this is James chapter 2, verse 18. Yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Daniel is showing the Most High his works by doing the things that he's doing. So let's go down to 20. It says, but wilt thou, O vain man, that faith without works, Shalakia. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? We know a lot of people who say they believe in the Most High, and they say they have faith, but they have no works. And according to James, the brother Yahushai, faith without works is dead. And let's go to verse 21. Was not Abraham our father justified by the works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? That is a work. That's just not words. Daniel is showing his works and his faith by his actions. So we ourselves may be put in positions like this one day, and we ourselves need to show our faith by our works, not just our words. But let's go on. We're going to go to verse 11. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask as a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which altereth not. Then answered they and said before the king, that Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petitions 3 times a day. So he maketh his prayers 3 times a day, regardless of what the king is saying. That's what he's saying here. Then 14 says, then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him, and he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. This king realized that these heathens, that these people tricked him into this. And he obviously had love and respect for Daniel, and it said he was mad at himself because he realized that they tricked him into this. Let's go to verse 15. Then these men assembled unto the king, and said unto the king, know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God, whom thou servest continuously, will deliver thee. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den. And the king sealed it with his own signet and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Let's go to verse 18. But we see that even the king had favor upon Daniel, and he believed that the God of Daniel would be able to save him. I'm sure he heard the stories of his predecessors that dealt with Daniel and the 3 Hebrews. So let's go to verse 18. And the other thing is, if you look at this, before Daniel even gets to the lion's den, once the king hears of this, the king is already trying to make ways to free Daniel from this. The Most High puts it in the hearts of anybody around us. If we're found acceptable to him, he can maneuver anybody around us to help us out of a situation. And that can happen for any of us, but we have to be fearless in the times of our tribulations. We cannot back down. We have to be committed to these things like Daniel was, like the 3 Hebrews were, like many of our forefathers were. So let's go to verse 18. Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. You see this? He spent the night fasting and praying, and he couldn't even sleep because this worried him so much. So let's go to 19. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the lion's den, and when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice until Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God, whom thou servest continually, able to deliver thee from the lions? Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angel, and have shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, I have done no hurt. You see that? Innocency was found in him. So he was judged innocent. Had Daniel been a sinner, he would have gotten the reverse judgment, and he'd be kibbles and bits at that moment for those lions. So let's go on to verse 23. Then was the king exceedingly glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out. Then the king was exceedingly glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. Verse 24. And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives, and the lions had the mastery of them, and brake all their bones in pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den. So you see that? The Most High put it in the king's heart to put judgment upon these men. And they were going to get what they try to put Daniel into. And it was worse for them because it wasn't just them, their whole household, their wives, their children. And it says every time one of them went to the bottom of the den, the lions broke their bones. So you know that they felt this pain. They saw it. They felt it. Their judgment was upon them. Let's go to verse 25. Then King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. Shalakia, hold 1 second. You see, this whole thing is actually a witness not only to the king of the Most High's power and his mercy, it's also a witness to other Judites that are in the kingdom on what's happening, because believe me, when this story goes down, everybody's going to know about it. Everybody's going to see it. Whenever they did punishments like this, these were public displays. They were not private. So this would motivate and this would encourage and instill more faith in the people that were there to witness this, right? But being that Daniel made it through, let's go to James chapter 1. Because remember, Daniel just endured this thing faithfully. So let's go to James chapter 1 real quick. And we're going to go to verse 12. And it says, "Blessed is the man that endureth temptation." Now, why would I say temptation in this situation? Because Daniel had a choice. He could have been tempted to save his own life and not bow down to the Most High and pray normally. And he could have prayed to that king and he would have failed and he would have had judgment cast upon him. So it says, "Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him." In this case, Daniel, the crown of life in this case was that he got to live through this trial. Let's go to I think verse 17, because there's a consequence for this, and you're going to see at the end of Daniel what the consequences were for Daniel. But look at verse 17. It says, "Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights." So all good gifts, every perfect gift comes down from the Most High to us, right? So let's go to verse 26. "I make a decree," this is the king talking, "that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end." So even this king understands that and sees that. This is a witness, and this glorifies the name of our Father, especially at that time when this is happening. Verse 27. "He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven, in earth, who has delivered..." Shalakia, let me read that slower. "He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth, who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions." And last verse, 28. "So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian." So think about this. He was already above all of those leaders in the kingdom except the king. Now, after this, he was raised up even higher because the Most High blessed him with that, as we saw in James. So he prospered even more than he was before. You know, this is a perfect example of how our people could prosper if they turn back to the Most High. They repent of their sins. They establish his law, statutes, and commandments in their lives without fear of their enemies, without fear of persecution or tribulation. And when it does come, that we endure that thing faithfully. Because when we make a commitment to endure it, the Most High already made a commitment to take care of us at that point. And even if we have to pay with our lives, we will inherit something even greater than physical or material possessions at this point. So this is your brother Manatazak. Hopefully this was an inspirational story from our brother Daniel. I'll talk to you guys on another one. All praises to the Most High. Shalom.